It is absolutely amazing to be back in front of you all for the second year in a row. I mean, amazing. As I'm standing on the stage, I realize that if you saw me speak last year, you may be asking yourselves how I got back here, right? So before I do that, I'm going to get to that, tell you why I'm here today, but I'm going to tell you how I got here last year and the journey that I've made over the past year. So last year, I came to NextUp as an ambassador and threw my hat in the ring for, You Are NextUp, the very first group of people chosen as part of the You Are NextUp program. While I was here, I had the opportunity to meet with our CEO and several members of our executive leadership team. Now, I work for a company with about 70,000 associates. So you don't get those type of opportunities very, very often, right? So I didn't know it at the time, but by me raising my hand and saying yes to taking the stage and speaking, and overall saying yes to whatever was next in my life, opened the doors to so many fantastic things. In fact, so many things have changed over the course of the last year that my life doesn't even look the same as it did last year. I was given an opportunity here to show up as my authentic self and to actually have real conversations with our leadership about ways to implement change for our company. Had I not raised my hand in spite of everything that was swirling in my life, I don't believe that I would be where I am now, and I certainly know that I wouldn't be talking to you all today. That's how much impact being here last year has had on my life. So when I left here last year, I found myself 2 weeks later in Dallas for what I thought was training, right? But of course, y'all remember Sesame Street? Who knows Sesame Street? Okay? You ever had one of those moments like one of these things doesn't belong? I was having that moment. In fact, somebody in line at lunch said, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here because, I worked with the employee resource groups and, I'm a DEI champion." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think you belong here." Right? So I thought I was there for training. It turns out, no, don't do that. It's okay. It was okay. It was funny. It was okay. Because I kind of felt that way too, right? Turns out I was there to receive the first ever MVP award for serving with heart from our CEO. So it was a good thing, right? So that was phenomenal. I actually didn't belong. It was a true Sesame Street moment, but I was there, And so in between that time, I had a conversation with the person who is now my direct supervisor. She was building out the team and said, "Erica, we've got some positions," gave the description. And I'm like, man, this is my dream job. Like, if I get this job, I'm not even working anymore. Seriously, like I'm living the dream, right? So as soon as the job hit the job board, I put in my application, and waited, and waited, and waited. Waited a little more. Nervously waited. I'm not patient. I don't think it was that long, but it felt like years to me, right? And so finally, at the end of the year, I found out that as of January 1st, I would be starting my position as Manager of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Thank you. So in the meantime, I'm making these changes. I've gotten this promotion. My relationships are changing. I'm an empty nester. My relationships with my children are changing. I had met someone new who was absolutely wonderful. And I'm just watching all of these things shift in my life. It was like this whole snowball effect of just everyday miracles. And I'm thinking to myself, all of this is happening because I raised my hand and I said yes. I raised my hand to come here. I said yes to myself. I took advantage of the opportunity and I showed up fully and authentically as me. Okay? So that's why I'm here today. Okay, that's the real reason. I want to encourage you all to raise your hands and to say yes to whatever is next for you in your life, because if these things can happen for me, I'm not special. They can happen for you too. So I remember at one point earlier in the year, especially busy day, it was a tough day. It was a tough day. And my youngest daughter is there and she's like, Mom, you look so tired, like you need to take a rest. What do you need? Do you need a cookie? Do you need a snack? Do you need a nap? What do you need, right? And I'm like, yeah, I need a nap, really. But I told her, I said, I am tired, but it's a happy tired. Y'all understand happy tired, right? Because I'm living the dream. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to see happen in my life. I'm living the dream. And then I looked at her and I said, you know what? For the first time in a long time, I'm good. Like, I'm really good, and I have enough. And in that moment, I cried a little bit because I'd been single parenting for so long. I'd been juggling. I'd been robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'd been surviving. And I realized in that moment that I had made the transition from surviving to thriving. And it was all because I raised my hand and I said yes to this very thing that I'm doing right now. Had I not been here, thank you. Had I not been here, I think that my life wouldn't look like it does now, honestly. And I realized that I was going to keep raising my hand and I was going to keep saying yes because the whole world was unfolding in front of me in ways that I couldn't have predicted and I couldn't have orchestrated. So, got two really big questions for you all today, and we're going to be a little interactive. You all are great, though. I love it. You're talking back and stuff. It's great. Two questions. The first one is, what are you raising your hand for? It's not a trick question, but I want you to take the time and really think about it. What is your hand up for in your life that you're saying yes to? And is that raised hand bringing you the things and the experiences that you want in your life? Or is it bringing you a bunch of shenanigans and tomfoolery? See, a lot of times we've got our hands up for a bunch of mess. We don't want that mess, but it's become familiar, it's become comfortable, and we've become complacent. So we keep raising our hand and saying yes for that. We continue to allow those things to be a part of our day-to-day experience. Why? The second question, and this is the big one, what aren't you raising your hand for and saying yes to? It's huge. It's huge for so many of us because we aren't raising our hands for opportunities that are going to advance us, for those stretch goals that are going to expand us and grow us and develop us. We aren't raising our hand for small challenges in life. We aren't even saying yes to ourselves. We're raising our hands and saying yes to other people and sacrificing ourselves. Why? Sometimes we don't know how to raise our hands. We don't know how to say yes to ourselves because we've done for other people for so long that we don't even know what it looks like when we raise our hands and say yes to ourselves. Sometimes it's fear, whether it's fear of failure, fear of success. Yes, fear of success is a real thing because a lot of us feel like if we succeed, we got to keep repeating it, right? That's daunting, okay? But it's still fear. So my response to that is that about 97% of the things that we're afraid of will never happen. They don't. So odds are that whatever fears you have are completely unfounded. It's not going to happen. So don't use it as an excuse. The other tidbit is that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of that fear. So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Can I tell you a secret? I'm scared right now. I swear to you, I'm scared right now. I actually may be more afraid today than I was last year, okay? But I'm here regardless. Why? Because I trust the process. And I also know that fear will pass, but so will opportunity if I don't grasp it in that moment. And I'm more afraid to miss the opportunity. So I'm gonna keep raising my hand. You know, and you think about it, as you work through fear, it becomes easier. It's kind of like floating on water. Anybody like to just float on water to relax? You know, people have those, floating pools that you go and pay, I don't know, $100 to go float in water, right? Go to the creek out back, whatever, right? But the key to good water floating is what? Relax and don't fight the water, right? You just got to be in harmony with the water. The key to trusting the process in your life is to know that the universe is conspiring in your favor. It's conspiring to elevate you, uplift you, and grow you, not to harm you. Okay? So now this is the participation part. I hope you all are awake. Everybody has breakfast, coffee, this is easy. I just want everybody to raise their hands. Okay, that's good. Everybody raises their hand differently, right? Look around the room, okay? Some people are really eager, right? So their hands shot up. They're like, yeah, what? Choose me. That's perfect. Some people are a little hesitant, so the hands go up a little lower and a little slower, right? It's okay. Some people had stuff in their hands, so they had to look for a place to put everything before they could raise their hand. Or they didn't raise their hands at all because they didn't want to put anything down. No matter which hand raiser you are, okay? It's okay, it doesn't matter. Just make a note. You cannot receive anything new with full hands. At least not without dropping something first, right? And in some cases, you can't raise your hand to be seen or acknowledged or picked or chosen if your hands are already full. So as I come to a close today, I ask you to go home and dig a little deeper into the questions that I've asked you. Write them down if you've got to, but take the time to figure out what you're raising your hand for, what you're not raising your hand for, and figure out a way to ensure that you raise your hand and say yes to the next best thing in your life, and that you keep raising your hand for you. It's my time.